My name's Lael McDill, and I'm going to teach you how to make your own Silly Millie unicorn. So you will have everything in your kit to make your unicorn. The only tool that you will need is a slicing tool. If you don't have one like this, you can use like an X-Acto knife or utility knife, something very thin. That's the key. So to get a Silly Millie unicorn kit, if you don't have one already, you're going to want to check out claysquared.com. So to start out, you've got your little tinfoil form here. That is going to be inside of the unicorn. It's not going to show at all. You're going to cover it with your Silly Millie. You will have who knows what kind of design. This one's going to have a little turtle. So this is a large Silly Millie, which means it's pretty thick in diameter. So you may want to stretch it down a little bit. You can see how I'm kind of squeezing it. You can roll it a little. Sometimes it's nice to do this either way, whether or not you want your picture smaller or not, just because it kind of gets the clay warmed up. Mine is very soft, so it's not needing a lot of warming. It all depends on like how long ago it was made, or whether or not the clay was really stiff at the time it was made. It's all just depends. But either way it works. Just sometimes takes a little longer to warm up the clay if it's really hard. So I've stretched that out quite a bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make thin slices with my slicing tool. You can see how every slice is going to have my little turtle in there. And I'm just going to go down the line, kind of like a little thickness of maybe like a nickel or something like that. And make a whole bunch of slices. I'm trying not to let them get stuck to each other. And after I've made a few slices, I'm going to just start putting them on my little unicorn form. You can see how, if it's kind of thick, you can kind of squish them a little bit flatter in your thumb and your finger. And it's just going to cover up very carefully all that tin foil, and the picture will still show. And making sure that I'm not overlapping, because if I overlap too much, I might run out of clay. It's always better to kind of spread it just a bit and piece it in there like a nice little puzzle. And get it all covered. Sometimes I'll stretch my pieces, form them just a little bit different shapes in order to fill in those little spaces. But you can take your time and just cover it ever so gradually. So now I'm going to make a few more slices. And you should have enough. If you run short, it's just a matter of maybe spreading them a little bit bigger. But you'll probably have extra. You can see how I'm just piecing that on there. Every little turtle. Whoops, gotta make sure things don't get stuck. That was the little eyeball. That's not a good place for an eyeball. Get that out of the way. Don't want that. So gradually getting it all covered. Now sometimes it gets just really close on that tinfoil and you can just sort of squeeze it together. Eventually we'll use a rolling pin to roll it smoother. You'll see that in a second here. My rolling pin happens to be a Crayola marker. That's a great tool to use. Even like a Bic pin, some kind of pin would work too. Anything cylindrical. Under his little chin, over his little head, covering them all up. There we are, almost there. I'm gonna have some extra. If you have extra Silly Millie, you can do other projects with it. Maybe make some beads. So you can see how there's just a little bit of tinfoil showing, so I can use my little rolling pin to kind of roll, and it squishes it right together. Little Crayola marker works really great. I have found Crayolas are really one of the best brands to use of thick marker because the ink on the pin or the paint on the outside of the marker does not tend to come off or anything. So I'm rolling all around. It's up to you how smooth you want it to be, but you can see how I'm working it and working it. And eventually, it's up to you. Get it as smooth as you want. Now, I've got his little head and his little body. So it's time to make his mane. You've got lots of different colors to choose from. Choose 3 of your colors that are going to be for your mane. You've got 2 little tiny ones that you're going to save for the horn, but choose 3 colors that you want for the mane. Doesn't really matter, whatever you like. Now each of these 3 colors, you're going to roll them in your hands, snake them out as I say, to make them into about as long as a cutting tool. That's about 4 inches each one. Nothing's very exact. Now what we're making here is called fluffiness. It's a technique that I came up with that makes everything look kind of furry. So that'll be great for a mane. I've made these like that. Now I'm going to pinch them or flatten them with my fingers. So I want them to be kind of, see how that's sort of like a wavy line? It's not too perfect. If you use a rolling pin, it might turn out too perfect. We want that variation. That's what makes fluffiness look cool. And I'm going to do that with each one, smashing it down until it gets all flat. Then I'm going to decide what order I want to put it in. A lot of times it's really great to put the really different color in the middle, but whatever you think you like. The colors on the edges are going to show a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is stack those like a stair stack. See how I made it so the pink still shows through? So that means I'm making like a little slanty pile. Stair stacking. If I put it right on top, it won't work quite as well. I'm kind of making it off to the side. So you can see how much I overlapped there. When I flip it over, I still can see all the colors. All right, so with fluffiness, it's all about repetition. I'm giving that just a little stretch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half, and then each time pick it up and slide it over right on top. I'm not flipping and flopping. I'm just going straight over. Then I'm stretching just a little bit again, because if I don't stretch it just a little bit, it'll get too short. I'm going to do that 3 times. Cut it in half, pick it up and slide it over. See how my design's starting to come out? That was 2 times, stretching, cut in half, pick it up and slide it over. There we go. Now I've got some fluffiness. See how I made a design in the clay? Now I can kind of pinch it a little bit to make it sort of like a mane. Well, it's going to be sort of flowing anyways. And now I'm going to slice this up just like I did with the Silly Millie. Maybe a little thicker. It's up to you. You can see how I'm making all those little slices. Might have more than enough. And then I'm going to put them on the mane. Just like that. Putting a little bit here and a little bit there. Can kind of pinch it a little bit. Can make it flowing. This is where your creativity really comes out. You've got plenty to play with. There we are, and then a little for the tail. Whatever way you want. Just like that. So, there it goes. Now, we could go any direction. Let's do the legs next. So, you probably have 2 more big pieces or 3 more big pieces. It kind of all depends on your kit. I'm going to just do 2 with mine. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to just sort of snake them out a little bit again. Snake them out. And I'm just going to take them and lay them together and twist and fold a few times. What I'm doing here is marbleizing. Just sort of doing this twisting. It's really fun to see the colors twist. Sometimes one color will hide inside of the other, but it's all in there. Twist and fold till it looks kind of marbleized. Then I'm going to form it into sort of like a little log. Now I can slice off a couple of pieces for the back legs. 2 little bit bigger pieces for the back legs, maybe a little bit smaller pieces for the front legs, and maybe I have a little bit extra. So the front legs are really easy. You're gonna take these and you're gonna pinch it. So I sort of pinched it into a little shape like that. You can see how I did that again. It's already kind of oval shape. If it isn't oval already, just sort of pinch it and flatten it, making it into sort of like a little triangle. And those little legs are just gonna go right on the side there, and right on the other side there. See how it looks? So there he goes. Wait for his last back legs. Back legs are a little harder. Kind of flatten it a little bit, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna do what I call the dog bone. So just pinch it a little bit, and now mine turned out to be a little bigger on that side, so that'll be the part I'll turn into the haunches. So I'm just gonna pinch that, and then this part, I'm just sort of keeping it like that, so that can be like the little haunches. Now don't worry, we're gonna put hooves on this guy. That'll really make him look like a unicorn. Same with this side, sort of flattening it, pinching in the middle like the dog bone. One side is a little bigger, maybe it isn't, maybe just choose one side. And that gets to be your little leg. So you can see how I pinched that just a little bit to make it longer, and I made this part flatter. So I'm just putting those right on. Now he can start to sit up a little bit, but little hooves would be great. I've got my little hooves right here. Mine just happen to have little snails in them. So I probably have more than enough of this also. I can sort of pinch it into a little bit of a square shape, meaning like sort of flatten and turn, but they can also be circles, whatever you want. Now I'm gonna slice a little bit thicker than before on these to get 4 little slices. There we are. There's my one hoof. I just stick the hooves right on. Could make them look the same, whatever you want. Let's just stick right onto that clay, right on the end, turns into little hooves. Now all we need is his details. Let's get some ears. Let's see, mine is gonna come with some little puppy dog ears. So the ears might be kind of already shaped, but they're not. If they're not the shape you want, sort of pinch them a little bit. And then you're gonna do 2 little slices once again, and it might just be you slice it right in half, or you might have extra. Just depends on how big you want the ears. And I'm gonna put those little ears right on, right by that mane. Let's see here. Well, sometimes it takes some adjusting to get it right the way you want. You can even, at this point, sometimes after you add the ears on, you might be like, maybe I want a little more mane around that ear. Let's see, that would maybe look like if I took a little pinch and maybe wrap it around the ear, something like that. It's up to your own creativity. Okay, how about the horn? So the horn, we've got little pieces. It might be littler than this. I'm gonna make mine littler than this. All I need is 2 little like pea-sized pieces. They are tiny little pea-sized pieces. And I'm gonna take each one of these. This is a little bit like what you did with the legs. I'm rolling them into little worms. And I'm gonna twist them together. So I'm gonna stick those little worms together. Make sure they're nice and warmed up. You don't want them cracking. So I'm gonna roll them a little bit together like that. Then I'm gonna just twist and twist and twist. Now, obviously, this is way too long of a horn. So I just twist it until it's got a part that I like. And then I'm just gonna chop that off. Now I've got a little tiny horn that I can maybe find a spot in that mane and put it right on like that. Well, now let's get some eyes on this guy. Little eye right there. Now just be really careful with the eyes that come in your packet because they're not baked yet. They can be squishy. There's another little eye there. Oh, I see a little tinfoil showing. Give it a pinch. There you go. And then if you want to, you can always maybe put a little poke of some little nostrils on there. Then it's up to your own creativity too. You know, maybe you have some little leftovers and you want to put some little lips on there. I could take a little pinch of my little leg. I could put tiny little lips A little mouth is kind of fun, but it doesn't need it if you don't want. Maybe I'll give him just a little bottom lip with another little tiny pinch of another little leftover color. How about the color of my horn? And I can just put that little like that. All right, you know, add any details you want. Maybe I want a little bit, tiny bit more of the mane. Took a little tiny slice and I just rolled it up a little bit. I'm gonna put a little tiny bit of the mane on the other side of the horn. So there he is. He's coming together. I'm gonna give him one more piece of a mane. And this little guy's gonna get baked in the oven at 275 degrees for 30 minutes. Let it cool off and then be ready to go. Have fun with your unicorn.